What's up guys, KS here. Thanks for joining me today as always. As you guys know, we spend a lot of time on this channel with handguns and related products, but I'll tell you what, times are changing. Now, I did an AR pistol with Dagger Defense not too long ago. Those videos are in the library. I highly recommend you check them out. But we're going to be continuing to explore ARs and pistol caliber carbines and that sort of thing. And today is no exception, so I've got a really fun one for us today. This is the Cig MPX MK2 or Key Mod, and I'll tell you what, this is awesome. We're going to be jumping over to the table and checking it out in a moment, but I want to give a huge shout out to a friend of the channel. We'll just call him Ed for the sake of argument. He didn't want himself known, which I totally respect, but it was incredibly generous for him to allow me the opportunity to play around with this and offer my thoughts to you guys. So without further ado, let's jump over to the table and check this thing out. When my buddy Ed approached me about trying out an MPX, I was really stoked. The Sig Sauer MPX line was introduced in 2013 in an effort to gain some attention from law enforcement and military organizations in the personal defense weapon gun category. They designed the MPX with a short-stroke gas piston system and rotating bolt design in an effort to increase accuracy and reduce recoil. We'll talk about the shooting impressions in a bit, but I will say, wow. When I jumped out to Sig's website to do some investigating, they list a 16-inch PCC version as well as the new Copperhead, which I have to admit doesn't really grab my attention. I much prefer this K model that features a full-length Picatinny rail and aluminum key mod handguard. And also, I just think it looks much cooler. The K is listed as a handgun due to its 4.5-inch barrel, though a collapsible brace is available, thankfully. Guys, this thing is small. I mean bag-worthy. Collapsed, it's 17.5 inches in length, and fully extended, it's just 22.5 inches long. That's incredible. I have to say though, it's not light. Unloaded, the MPX weighs in at 6.2 pounds, though that means it will stay locked on target regardless of the ammo you're feeding it. Now it's time to jump in and take a closer look at the Mini MPX. Let's dive in. Alright guys, as you can see, the camera is dialed into the gun. We're going to be walking around the features for a couple of minutes, but before we do, let's take a look at the magazine. As I said before, this is a 30-round magazine, polymer construction. It's actually a really nice magazine. It's got steel followers, which is also very cool. Now, one thing about these magazines, they are not inexpensive. I generally have found them in my research around $60 to $70. Periodically, they do go on sale, but it might be a consideration for you as you're shopping for firearms. All the accessories, I mean, you have to build them into the price. So again, really good construction, but pretty darn pricey. All right, we're going to take a walk around the gun. Here's the thing. I'm not going to be holding this the entire time. Again, it's 6.2 pounds, so it gets pretty heavy after a while, but I did want to show you that the bolt is locked back. The dust cover is open. There is no magazine, so we are definitely clear. Now, just to give you a quick idea of the grip texture, there's actually pretty nice texture on this thing, even though, again, it's a personal defense weapon. It's a little bit different than a handgun, so the texture probably isn't quite as critical, but it's nice that it is there for sure. And if you are familiar with if handling and shooting ARs, this is probably going to feel right at home to you. One of my favorite features of the MPX is the controls. The controls are all ambidextrous and they're extremely easy to get to. This is the right side of the firearm, so we're going to be flipping it over here in just a bit. But on the right side, we do have our safety selector. Works really well. It's a little bit firm, but it works fine, not a problem. Now, the one thing, and this would be my shooting hand would be on this side, I did find that in the fire position, my finger can definitely feel this. It's reminiscent of like a CZ Scorpion or something like that. It's a mild irritant, not that big of a deal, but definitely something that I noticed. Now we also have our magazine release here and a bolt release here as well. So again, I love the fact that you've got a lot of flexibility in terms of controls. One other thing I noticed about the MPX, we do have our, of course, magwell here. It is a little bit beveled there, makes it a little bit easier to get magazines in. Also a really nice attention to detail. In the intro of the video, I did mention the brace, so I do want to show that for a moment or two. It is collapsible, which is really nice, so we'll go ahead and collapse this, and I'll show you the button here in just a moment. but it's got 2 positions on it. It locks very firmly in place, so you're not going to have an issue with it wobbling around, jostling, or anything like that. This is it fully open again, completely locked here. This is how I ran it, and it proved to be incredibly comfortable. It's even a little bit rubberized on the back, so again, very comfortable. And then we've got also a sling mount here as well. But if you want to see that button on the top, there's your button right there. Again, very easy to actuate, not too big of a deal. Now, of course, it takes 2 hands to collapse it, especially when it's sitting on the table. But when you compress it, again, it's about 17 and a half, a little bit more than 17 and a half inches completely collapsed, and 22.5 inches fully extended. Now, again, I've got the camera completely dialed in here just so we can get a really good look at it. But this thing is absolutely tiny. Perhaps the most notable feature of the MPX-K, of course, is the K-Mod Handrail, and it is covering a 4.5-inch barrel. It's great because, first, it's very comfortable to hold on to, but you can also hang all of your common toys off of it. It has a little bit of Picatinny down at the bottom, and running all the way across the top, which we'll take a look at in a second, is the Picatinny rail. But again, it's just really nice. It's a great option here, and I like the look of this. Again, there are some other MPX models, including that Copperhead that's out now. I don't care for that one as much. I think this one is definitely the way to go. Now, again, I mentioned the top and the Picatinny rail. The owner of this actually has a couple of flip-up sights. These proved to be really nice. I ran it off camera a little bit just to see if it was all dialed in, and those proved to be really handy. And then he's got the Cig Romeo 4H, and again, it proved to be a really good package overall. Now, this was shooting maybe a couple of inches low at about 50 feet. I didn't have to mess with it at all. I just dealt with that, and that was fine. But it ran. It was just fine. Not a review, of course, on the red dot. But overall, I think it's a very thoughtful package. I like what he's done with this, and it is a very capable runner for sure. One last feature, of course, is going to be your charging handle. And this charging handle, I'll give you a good look at that for a moment or two. Again, proved to run just fine. It's ambidextrous, and it's very common. Again, if you spend time with ARs, this will feel right at home to you. All right, a quick look at the left side of the gun so you can see the ambidextrous controls. Once again, we've got our safety, we've got our mag release, and our bolt release here. When I ran the gun, because I'm shooting with my right hand, my left hand actually used these controls. That proved to be very convenient, very nice, but I love the fact that you can run it on the right side as well, so a lot of flexibility there. And real quickly, we've got a Cig logo, and it does say MPX as we're moving up a little bit. Again, a really thoughtful design, and I think a very attractive one as well. The shooting experience with the MPX is exactly what I expected. It's small, though there's more than enough surface area to grab and get locked in. The polymer grip has plenty of texture, and the front of the magwell allowed me to grip the gun and press it into my body, further locking everything down. The ambi bolt and mag releases are smartly placed, allowing the shooter to retain a shooting grip while performing those tasks. One feature I really appreciated was the last round hold open. Many 9mm ARs don't have that feature, which is something I prefer in any gun. The brace proved to be very comfortable, never stabbing or punching my shoulder unnecessarily. This tester came with the Cig Romeo 4H, which basically was dialed in for my purposes, though if it were mine, I'd make a few minor tweaks to it. Nonetheless, I shot anywhere from 25 to 75 feet, and my rounds landed center mass every time. My one complaint while shooting was with the ambidextrous safety. I periodically felt the right side lever on my shooting finger, which reminded me of the stock safety on a CZ Scorpion. It was a minor nuisance, though I'd change it out if the gun were staying on the channel. Sadly, it has to go back home, and I will definitely miss it. This is really a fun little PDW. So guys, what do I think of the Sig Sauer MPX-K overall? Well, overall, I have to say I like it, and I like it a lot. There are a lot of things, a lot of features going for it, including things like the ambidextrous controls, the collapsible brace, the key mod, and the full Picatinny rail, so you can hang all of your toys off of. 30-round magazines, which are great. However, they are darn pricey. There's no doubt about that. But if you were looking for a small bag gun, if you will, a personal defense weapon that's a little bit more substantial than a handgun, this might be the way to go because they don't really get a whole lot smaller than this, especially retaining that quality. Now, I ran 350 rounds through it, which I know is not a lot, but I feel like if I'm going to run into a problem with a firearm, especially one that's used, although certainly well taken care of, I'm probably going to run into that within the first few hundred rounds. And again, it ran flawlessly, so that was great. Now, The consideration is price. I searched around and I found this gun anywhere from the low 15 to the high 1600s. So that's a pretty good chunk of money for sure. Now again, a lot of bells and whistles with this, and the size is really tough to beat. So you have to determine, does this fit in your budget? Does this fit with what you need? And is there still some room left over to go to the range and get some ammo and that sort of thing? So again, a little bit pricey, but you're getting a lot for your money for sure. So guys, let's wrap this up. Well, guys, there you have it, the Sig Sauer MPX MK2. I'll tell you what, this thing is a beast, and there's so much to like about it for sure. And once again, a special thanks to my buddy Ed. I really appreciate it. Without you, this could not have happened. I'm going to send it back. I don't want to, but I'm going to send it back. He also sent a shirt along as well. That's awesome, and I will be wearing that a lot, no doubt about it. Now, guys, be sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know your experience with the MPX and other like firearms as well. I love getting different suggestions and ideas from you guys and just carrying on a conversation as well. Otherwise, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Let me know your experience with the Sig Sauer MPX or any other like ARs of various sorts. ARs? Really? Well, guys, there you have it, the Sig Sauer MPX MK2. I'll tell you what, this thing a beast, and it's a beast. It's a beast. It's a beast. Special thanks to my buddy Ed. I really appreciate the opportunity. He even sent us ARs and that sort of thing. We're going to be seeing more of that as the time this thing's getting heavy. Now we're going to be jumping over to the table and checking it out here in just a moment, but I want to see you next time.